Sports.
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sky Blue game preview, which is against Huddersfield on Friday, Good Friday. So happy Easter to everybody that celebrates Easter. So just a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, just remember where you can find us. We are available on X or Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube as well. Please go and like and subscribe. We are on podcasts, so Spotify, Amazon Prime, and if any of the podcasts that you do listen to us, please go and rate us 5 stars on there. We're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena, and we're also sponsored by Wright Steel Fabrications. He can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. Really good guy, and if you need any info on him, just let us know and we can pass that information over. So, as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mark. Good evening, Mark. You okay?
Yeah, hi, Stuart. Hi, everyone. Yeah, good, thank you.
Good, good, good. And we're also joined by Brad, a Huddersfield fan. Hi, Brad.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
You okay?
Very good, very good. Looking forward to seeing how the game will go.
Good, good. Yes, and we are as well. So, just before we get into the crux of everything, can you just let us know, Brad, what you do and where we can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, which is my personal account, which will be a mix of promotions and just general normal stuff. Brad_Barbs, again, on X to promote the majority of the YouTube stuff. And then my actual YouTube channel is Brad Barbs on YouTube. Mainly now just focusing on the Huddersfield Town vlogs. Majority of the time it's home games as and when I can be there, but there's years of content on there if that's your kind of thing, from neutral games as well, and a couple of games here and there in the Champions League. And you know, if that's your kind of thing and you find yourself looking over, I'd be really appreciative of that, guys.
Fantastic. Obviously, you can promote yourself at the end as well before you come off, just to remind us on where we can find you. So let's get into the game then. So the last game that we had was at our place, the CBS Arena. It was a 1-1 draw. It was a little bit of a, if I remember rightly, I was meant to watch, to be fair, the highlights back because I couldn't quite remember it. But I do remember that Yassin Ari's goal was a little bit of a weird goal. He didn't quite celebrate, did he, Mark? It was a little bit of a weird one, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it came crashing off the bar, and he just landed on his, I think it was fire his kneecap, and just rolled in. So it was a bit of a weird goal, but you take that. It was that, you know when a striker's out of form, you say, oh, they just need a lucky goal. They need someone to come off the backside or come off. It's one of those type of goals. So
yeah, definitely.
It was a game where, and Ellis Sims, I remember, did look really good first half. He actually started to look, quite a bit of a menace. I think he hit the woodwork as well. But Huddersfield were very poor first half. But what they did do second half, this is Darren Moore's first game as well. They brought on, when Sorba Thomas came off the bench, and he's actually suspended this game, which we'll come to later. But when he came off the bench, they were a much better side second half. And if really, it was so frustrating to concede so late on, but looking back, the draw was about the right result, really, because we just sat back and we just invited pressure all the time. It was frustrating. So disappointing result, probably the right result for the neutral, poor result from us, because that was at a time where we just were finding ways of drawing games than winning games. So disappointing result, but probably the right result looking back.
Yeah, that's definitely right. That again, we were in a period of playing. Very early on, we played 3 at the back, and teams were kind of finding us out. Really, that's what I thought. Anyway, they were finding it too easy to work us out and how we were going to play. Brad, just coming to you. How was your feeling before that game? Because obviously it wasn't necessarily going all that well at the start of the season for you, and then Darren Moore came in, like Mark just mentioned there. How was it coming towards that first game of Darren Moore being in charge?
Well, it was a bit of a grey area, to be honest, Stuart, because the problem we had was we just had such a good end to the season under Neil Warnock, re-employed him again. And Yeah, I mean, because we'd lost so many players, we weren't playing as good as we probably could have done. But in kind of perspective of what came after, it was not a bad start to the season. And you look back and you be grateful for what you did have and instead what you put through after. It were a game where Darren Moore had to hit the ground running. And for me, I just thought when I watched that game, coming into it, I was quite confident. I was like, look, Coventry are a good side, even more so at home, to my knowledge, and it's going to be tough to beat them. And to get a draw in whatever the manner we did, I was quite happy at the time. That being said, obviously, for me, it was a very boring game. You had a Coventry side in control for the majority of the game that didn't do anything with it. And then you had a Town side that were just feeding off scraps and managed to get it in the last minute. And games like that it's just two teams just both being bad. You know, that we could have had a good game, you guys could have had a good game, and we could have been a blockbuster, but instead it were just boring. But I were happy with what we got anyway.
Yeah, and obviously because you've been through obviously Darren Moore. You had an interim boss, I think, for a couple of weeks, didn't you, as well? And then you've got, I can't pronounce his surname, but Andre, haven't you?
Yeah.
How's he come in and changed things around?
Honestly, I don't think. I think it's too late. In complete honesty, I think it's too late. The time he has come in, I think if we're to go down now, that's on letting Moore stay in charge way too long. Because the amount of draws and losses we got to teams we should have been taking points off, that's just under that reign. That's the damage is already done now. Because even as a team for the past few years, whenever we need to win a team, to not only add our points but take points off another team down there, we won't do it. Well, instead, this is the kind of game on Friday that we'd win, because your Coventry's position means nothing to us because you're fighting for playoffs and we're fighting to stay up. That's the kind of game we go and win, which doesn't do us as much of a favour as beating the likes of Birmingham and Millwall, because we're knocking them and not doing ourselves at the same time. Yeah. So, I mean, for Andre, it's tricky because he's the same squad of players that he's not actually had a say in because he's not come in time. You know, German managers normally want to bring players that have played in Germany, whether that is German nationals themselves or players that have obviously just worked up and through Bundesliga too. So he's not had that chance. And then the games he has played, very mixed. You know, very poor at Cardiff. Good response at home to Leeds. Good response to Southampton. No, not Southampton. That was Worthington. But it's mixed. And do you blame the manager? Do you blame the players? Because the players have been constantly bad throughout the season. So I think there's a lot of Town fans, me included, that are unsure as to what the problem is or what's the bigger blame in the problem, really.
Yeah, obviously, looking at your form at home, you've only won 4 since we last played. This is since we last played you. You've won 4 at home. You've lost 5, and you've drew 6. So what you're saying is right. You know, the draws are kind of costing you them 2 points every game that you're drawing, aren't they? So it's difficult to try and get closer to them. You know, your Millwall, you know, your Sheffield Wednesday. I know Sheffield Wednesday below you, I think, but your Birmingham, your QPR,
absolutely, yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we're just giving. It's like there's no point even turning up to the game because you and them both get the same thing. So
yeah,
so it's kind of like you're helping them out by that's one less team they have to worry about taking points off them, and we're and they're just helping you out. It's kind of like just a bit of I think obviously I know in the concept that's how a draw works, but like that's the one you've got to want to nail. Like we had Plymouth away first game of the season, and you know we all know how it is. You guys came up from League One, and you've got the hunger back straight away. You're like, oh my God, we're back here. this is where we should be, right? We want to be playing these teams like, you know, when you guys beat Forest at home on I think it was the first game of the season.
First game of the season a couple of years
ago. You're
ago.
foaming at the mouth. You're like, oh my God, we're so happy to be back. Plymouth, opening day, they showed us up. They showed Neil Warnock's Huddersfield Town up. So when they come back to our place, we should be thinking, right, hang on a minute, these guys are down here, going to be down here. We want to return the favour. 1-1, 0-0 or whatever it was. I forgot. Yeah. That's how brilliant the game was, because that's just how we've been.
Yeah. Mark, going to you, obviously, we're coming off, you know, a really good FA Cup win. You know, dramatic scenes at the end, winning 3-2 away at Wolves. Do you think the momentum is going to be with us on this one? Because I would never say that any game is a must win, but we are kind of getting into them rounds really that we should be aiming for the next 2 games, Huddersfield and Cardiff. We should be aiming to win both of them, shouldn't we? Do you think we're going to keep that momentum up? Or do you think, I would like to think that Robins isn't going to, you know, take any rubbish, if you like, off the players and not keeping their eye on the ball. Do you think there could be an element of that in there?
I don't think so. I think the players, they know that you know, we're 4 points off of playoffs, but we've got a game in hand. So if we win that game in hand, that's 1 point. So every game is massive, really. I think we need to sort of park the Man United game because that's not until the end of April. So we've got to forget about that. For me, it starts now. It's a big game against Huddersfield. You know, Huddersfield fighting for their lives. You know, I saw the game against Leeds not that long ago, and Huddersfield played really well. It's just Leeds got a late goal and they couldn't quite win. But that just shows that you cannot underestimate any side in this division. But obviously, Saul Thomas being suspended is a big blow for them because he's probably one of their better players. So I'm happy with that. I guess the only thing that Mark Robins will have to think about is we've got 3 players coming back from international duty: Hadji Wright, Lati Baudier, Casey Palmer. So he has to assess, are they going to be, bear in mind you've got Cardiff on Monday as well. You know, do we start them, or do we just put them on the bench and then bring them on later in the second half, depending on the game situation? So I think that's going to be an interesting sort of decision what Robins does, because I think if you look back early in the season when they were on international duty against the Hull match at Hull, he rested quite a few days on the bench. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't start this game. But this is an important game. You know, the next 2 games we've got to be looking at 6 points. We're looking to stage the season now. We've got 9 games left. We've got to be winning games now. And we can't afford to drop points. The draw's not good enough. It's not good enough for Huddersfield. It's not good enough for us. So, you know, we should be going to Huddersfield confident that we can win. You know, West Brom won there fairly recently 4-1. So there's no reason why if we turn up we can't do the same thing. But what we cannot afford to do is underestimate Huddersfield, because as I saw from the Leeds game, they almost beat them. So it's you know, I think league positions at the moment don't mean much, because, you know, teams when they're struggling and desperate to points just seem to up their performance by a few more percent. And, you know, Huddersfield got a decent crowd as well, decent following at home. So it's going to be quite a noisy atmosphere. So not going to be an easy game, but we should fear them. And look, we've been a Premier League side. So, you know, we've got to go with the same mentality, same belief. And if we play like we did against Wolves, we'll win.
Yeah, 100%. You know, the last 5, we've won 2, we've lost 1, and we've drew 2 as well. So, and if I remember rightly, a couple of seasons ago, I think we won 4-1, I think it was, or something like that. So I think I would like to think that the stats and everything at the moment is with us. But as you've rightly said there, you know, there's no easy game in the championships whatsoever. Everyone's scrapping for points pretty much, you know, whether it's to get into the playoffs, whether it's to stay in the playoffs, or whether it's to catch people just outside the relegation zone or people in the relegation zone. So there's points, you know, that's needed all over. So like you rightly said as well, that a point really doesn't help either of us, you know, and I think hopefully the points will be coming to Cov. just moving on to your injuries and suspensions, Brad. You've got, again, I went off a list that I looked at, so some might be back. Tom Lees, Nakayama, Reece Healy, Kay Harrott was injured and I think is suspended now. Josh Ruffles, and then suspended. I've seen Kay Harrott, and obviously Mark's already mentioned Sorba Thomas. Are any of them likely to or would have featured had they been fit or not suspended?
Only one out of them that would have featured would have been Tom Lees. Harrott's out for the season, both injury and suspension for something he's done. I can't remember what it was. I think it was gambling. Okay. Healy's out for months. Lees is news to me, but he's prone to the odd knock, so that would make sense. He'd possibly start to be on the bench, but that depends on Radinho Bolka. Should he be fit, which I believe he is again, he'd take that position.
Okay.
But obviously Sorba would start, but like we say, suspended. So yeah, that sounds right to me.
Yeah. So there's no others that I've missed or that you know of.
No, none that come to mind. That list sounds quite accurate.
Okay, cool. Mark, any questions at the moment for Brad?
One of the players that I think could be a threat for us is Jack Redoni. How's he been playing this season for the Town?
Redoni is a very, very tricky one. On his day, he's unplayable. And when we played Sunderland at home a few weeks ago, the way him and Sorba were stroking the ball about, it was like they played together since they came out the nursery. But, like I say, these things can very quickly thaw out. Like, Redoni on his day is a brilliant, brilliant player, but I feel like I'm no one to criticise or question. I'm just a fan. I go, but at the same time, the decision making, that's the big one at Town, and every player falls for it. And if he had that cracked, he would be, instead of a great player, he would be an incredible player for this level. And that's just sometimes the thing. It's that final ball, and then look, Coventry have got it now, or they've run down the other end, or they've scored, and that's not just Redoni's fault, but the amount of times that Town make attacking moves like that, and it can all just switch like that, and we'll take the foot off the gas and bang, home team scored, away team scored. It's just little things like that in his game that he's just missing. But he's been much better this season than he was last year, and he's definitely got that. He can get in and amongst a few players, which where others are kind of, I'll take a foul here, or I can't be bothered now. He's got a fight in him. So
yeah,
very good.
Yeah, no, he was one of the ones that I was going to mention actually, Mark. To be fair, because I saw him a couple of seasons ago at our place, and he terrorised. I think it might have been Darbo at the time, and might even been Fads as well at the time, maybe. But yeah, I like him. Is there anybody else that springs to mind that we need to be wary of?
I think a lot of it does depend on the day, and I think that's the problem with Town is we have players that are capable. In terms of goals, the man that did it last time, Helic, he's his top goal scorer. He's got 9 goals and he's a centre half. I don't know how he does it. Some of them aren't even headers, but he just manages to get the ball in the net. So the one against you wasn't a header, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
And the one a couple of weeks ago, just finish from 15 yards, centre half, cool as you like, and marching to killing the bank stand, like not a care in the world. So he's definitely one. I think, again, it does depend on the day, but Bergzorg, should he be fit and up and running, scored the other week against West Brom, and he's definitely got a finish in him, and again, Karoma on the day, he's not the most consistent player, but he can find the net at any day. He's always one of them players where if the odds and the bookies suggested that it wasn't going to happen, you'd put the money down just in case, because he's always a safe kind of bet. But all our players are capable of being threats. It's just how often we do them. That's our problem. It's not a case of that, and that consistency is what takes some of them from being Championship players to League One quality players, because consistency is everything in any team. It's the biggest thing that we fail on, is to go 1-0 up against West Brom and then switch off for 20 minutes. Oh, it's 4-1. And that's what I'm worried about for Friday.
Yeah. Mark, obviously, in terms of our sort of suspensions and injuries, obviously, I think it's, if I'm right in saying, Sakamoto obviously is out for the season. Jamie Allen's come back now, and obviously Sheaf came back for 30 minutes prior to the Wolves game and then played 90 minutes against Wolves, so we can say that he's back as well. We're pretty much full strength, aren't we, now? And I think that that's the way that we need to go going in now into every game, is literally going with a full strength squad, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's always a good thing. I think, as I said earlier, I think the conundrum is with Robins is, does he go with Hadji Wright, Palmer, and Lassie Baudier? Because if they're fit, mentally, physically fit, I would have them in the team with a heartbeat. But bearing in mind they've come back from international duty, we've got a game on Monday. Does he start them? It's an interesting one. So I'd like to see him feature, definitely, because we need to win. And Hadji Wright is in really good form. You know, he's starting to find the back of the net with aplomb. And it's not like it's easy goals he's scoring hard goals that he's making look easy. So I hope he does feature, and hopefully he'll get us a couple on Friday. But
yeah, he scored 2 for USA, didn't he, against Jamaica? Funny enough, as well, didn't he? And there were 2 good goals. So yeah, he is coming to a bit of form, and so is Ellis Sims as well. Sims is playing well. Brad, from your point of view, I'm going to skip a little bit from what I said just off screen. What threat do you follow the Championship much, or do you just follow Huddersfield, or can you give us any threats from your side that you're worried about from us?
Biggest one, this will be a shock, right? But it's actually Robins. That's my biggest worry. Okay. Is the manager, because I actually rate him very highly. A lot of people don't, which I find quite odd. And there's no kind of, oh look, he's jumping on the bandwagon, but people forget he used to manage us, so I've seen the good side of him. And I had you guys to finish 5th this season, where a lot of people didn't, because once again, I do back how Robins sets up and and the effect he can have. I think how he manages his players. He must be doing something right, because when I see how the club performs, the table doesn't lie, and that's my worry. Is he does have that kind of idea as a manager on how to change things when it's not working, and what to go with. Because like I said, I think, and just when the pair of you were talking, then you're just like, oh, it's a full strength squad. Oh, Sims is doing well. It's just the fire will just keep burning and burning, of course, because when I'm speaking about a manager that obviously that I admire, if he's got Sims who started scoring now, it's just like you understand what I mean. It's just another thing where you're like, we've just lost 4-1. These are the biggest 2 things now we couldn't have. He's stuck with Sims to the point now. And I've seen Coventry Twitter. I follow a couple of Coventry fans, and they've all said he's working hard. It's going to come. And now it's happened, and I'm like, oh, we've got to play them now. So it is mainly Robins and Sims, and obviously Palmer. I know what he's capable of from his time at us, and I know that he can just go like that, and something magic will happen. I've seen it. He had a brilliant season with us. 2 seasons actually with us. So those 3 for me: your manager, Sims, and Palmer.
Yeah, obviously, he hasn't even touched on, Sheaf, Torp, Hadji Wright, so no. we are in a good position, but like we've said, there's no easy game in the Championship, and we can, I'm saying that how well that we played against Wolves in the FA Cup. But a few weeks ago, we played absolutely like dog rubbish against Preston. So we can easily turn up like that against Preston, and you can turn us over. But as you know, and I've said it all along. I've said it from the start of the season. Anybody that listens to my spaces and our spaces and my, in my opinion, show and stuff, you know, I've always said that if we show up, we can beat anybody, and that goes from a Premier League side down to a Championship side. But yeah, what was your expectations? Okay, so what were your expectations at the start of the season, Brad? What were they halfway through, and what are they now?
Is that for Coventry or for Huddersfield? For
Huddersfield.
So I thought it was going to be a tough start, which it was. Now, I didn't think we'd be as you see, I don't like to say people are lying or anything, but like I feel like they're a bit pulled behind the scenes a bit with what happened with Darren Moore, because we said we were looking for a coach that we'd had eyes on for a while, but he'd only just come out of a job. So I was kind of like, hang on a minute now. Is this the same guy, or was we after Duff, or was we after Rowett, or any one of the Championship names? So we'll come back to that in a sec, but it wasn't a great start, but it was a steady one. Neil Warnock, I thought, yeah, we'll finish 15th this year, sound enough, sound job. Go to the home games, maybe a couple of away games if I can fit it in with work. You know, a couple of pints. That sounds like a fun year. But that's never the case with Huddersfield. There's always politics and just irritating things. There's always something. You're just like, you're not going. I'm like, no way, because this has happened. And it just puts you off. Because what's happened now is, like I say, we employed Darren Moore, attacking football. Well, I didn't see it, and we had 20-odd games or whatever it was. We're just literally, we're drawing this game 1-1, we'll take this point. Oh, we're drawing this one 1-1, oh, we'll take this point. Which is great when you get, you know, you're drawing against Southampton and all this, but when you're doing it to Plymouth and Millwall and Birmingham, teams down the bottom, it doesn't really, you're not moving out of the danger. The danger is chasing you, you're not running away from it.
Yeah.
So obviously we had that with Darren Moore, and at that point in the middle, right, I thought he has to go now or we're down. I said it at work, said we're down, we're gone, because he won't sack him. But this is where the fans have pulled. The fans said, look, he's going or we're going. Like they were like, I'm not watching. Loads of them just didn't even turn up because they weren't even willing to. Not loads, but maybe like a couple of hundred on Twitter that would normally be die hard and the rest. And that's not to suggest they're not die hard, because I've left games early. Everyone has their own reasons for doing and not doing stuff to do with club football. And this year has tested me more than most. I've left in the 70th minute, and I said the other week, I says, well, my mother's never let me down like that. It's Mother's Day. See you later, lads. Like, that's just it, because when you have to realise it's 11 relegation battles in the past 13 years.
Yeah.
It's just like, when is it going to end? So at that point, when we sat more, I thought, right, get the right man in now. Gave it Worthington, a couple of good games. But then now it's just a big confusion, because we've come away from Worthington, gone to Andre, and it's like, right, are we doing well or are we not doing well? Because at the moment, it doesn't look like it. It looks like I'm not seeing the style of football that's been told to us again. I'm just seeing a very generic one. And like Mark said earlier, we play good against Leeds, but then we go and do that at Cardiff. And then, you know, we'll play good against Watford, but then we go and lose 4-1 at home to West Brom.
Yeah.
Complete, you know, kind of epitomises what you just said. Anyone can beat anyone. But I'm worried now. I think there is Wednesday catching higher as we're not pulling away. And I just think some of the teams there are better than us. It is never, for us, in my mind, it's never the better team that stays up. It's whoever's worse that goes down. I think that's what it comes to.
Well, funny you should say that. Whenever I do it every year, to be fair, but, you know, our first year of coming up, you always look and think, are there 3 worse teams than you?
Yeah, exactly.
And if there are, then you kind of hope that you're going to be safe. You know, and I've done it from day one. But, you know, you just said that you can't see 3 worse teams than you. So unfortunately, I think you might be down. Do you think? Question for you: do you think Andre's there next year? Whether you stay up or whether you do go down?
I think so, because he'll finally get his same players.
Okay.
But the problem we have is that squad half straight away. I can already see where players are going. Hellick straight off to whoever the top dog of the championship is. Sorba might go with him. And then you've got Bergdorf who won't sign permanent. So it's just a knock-on effect from there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in football think, oh, yeah, you'll go down to League One, win a load of games. It's not how it works anymore. Not at all. That's a league where you can go die as a club. And if you're lucky and have a bit of money put back into you, maybe come back up. But Portsmouth haven't. Took Blackpool a while. Derby haven't.
I was going to say Derby, yeah.
Oh.
Bolton around there, but until it happens, nothing's concrete.
Yeah, that's right. Go on, Mark. Was you going to say something?
No, I'm just saying we could speak for ourselves because we were in League One.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
We went to League Two. So, that just shows how a club can fall. League One, Derby County this season, they might be going up, but obviously they're scrapping for second spot. But you rightly say there's no gimme. There's no team's got divine right to go straight back up. It's a tough division. Probably recently next season Wrexham will be coming up to League One, and they'll probably spend a few more cash with Mr. Reynolds and that. So I think League One could be an interesting season next season. Whoever goes down, Rotherham are given, they're gone. But then I think I look at Huddersfield's games after us. I think Stoke away is a huge game on the Monday.
Yeah.
I think that's a Stoke, so that's a massive game. So obviously, I wish Huddersfield luck, but not on Friday, obviously. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Any more questions for Brad?
No, nothing for me. No.
No. Okay. Cool. Mark, can I get a prediction for the game?
I've got to be positive because we need a win. So I'm going to go 3-1. I would be surprised if Huddersfield score first, and then we then
decide to turn up.
But then I remember a game against Huddersfield a couple of seasons back where they were 1-0 up. I think Danny Ward scored, and we absolutely battered them. I think Nichols made so many save after save, and then Godden scored about 98th minute, whatever it was. We got a point, so I hope it won't be like that. So, but we need to win for our own reasons because if we lose or draw, it's going to make it very difficult. Because with our fixtures to come, we've got Cardiff, and then we've got Leeds, Southampton after that. So I think these are the games you've got to be looking to get 3 points. Anything less than that's not good enough. So I'm going to back us and say 3-1 to us. Okay, lovely. Brad, can I get a prediction from you?
Quite shocked me actually when he said it, but absolutely the same is what we're going to say. It's going to be time to go 1-0 up and throw it away and 3-1 Coventry. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm not gonna be as convincing. I think we'll just scrape a win. I think a little bit of the Wolves game will come out a little bit. We'll make it a little bit scrappy, but I think we will come out victorious. I think, but it's only going to be a 1-0 win. I can't see us scoring maybe 2 or 3. I think it will be a 1-0 or a 2-1. There'll only be a goal in it. I think anyway. So, but again, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we turn up, and if we turn up and we score early, then if your heads drop and the crowd's on them a little bit at home as well, the floodgates might open a little bit.
It could get toxic any day now if it's not working. That's another fair point really.
Yeah, so if we score early, I'm not gonna say that we are. I'm still gonna stick with the 1-0. I think. For the game. So, just as we finish then, as I do with all our guests, I do a little bit of a quick fire. So just give us a one-worded answer. It doesn't have to be one-worded, obviously. You can give as long as you want, but I would like a one-worded answer, but it doesn't matter. So the first one is John Smith Stadium.
Church.
Okay. Now, this is a two-parter. because I believe that the words slightly changed, or you started to sing something different. Smile a while until we meet again.
Song.
How do you feel about them? Do you sing it? Do you like singing it?
Yeah, I absolutely love them, of course.
Yeah.
That's kind of bread and butter for Town Pump.
Excellent. Leeds United. You can be as honest as you like.
Sing when they're winning.
Right, okay. Very diplomatic. Player of the season so far?
Hellick has to be.
Okay. And best away fans that you've seen at your place?
Ooh. On their days, in no particular order, I have to go with a couple. Okay. Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough on their day have done well. That game that Mark said, Coventry, absolutely brilliant. I think when Palace came in the Prem a couple of times, they were incredible, and I think Newcastle deserve a spot, and West Ham, but just away. Yeah, okay. Them few definitely in a big cloud on their own.
Okay, lovely, fantastic. Right, so that's it. So thank you very much, Brad, for joining us. Thank you very much, Mark, as well, obviously, as always, for joining. Brad, just before we do go, can you let us know where we can find you and what you do again?
Of course, yeah. Just the match day vlogs for me at the moment, covering all the Huddersfield Town match day vlogs at home. Obviously, I'll be away for this game. I'll be on holiday watching from Tenerife, and the same on the Monday as well. But the next home game after that, you'll catch me in the crowd, roaring and screaming at the camera as per usual, and hoping for improvements. But yeah, as always, any people that do watch the content, decide to like, subscribe, or comment any kind feedback, is always greatly appreciated. And yeah, thanks so much.
No, thank you very much for coming on. So just remember where you can find us, guys. Remember, it is scrolling down the bottom. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Please go and like and subscribe to anything that we do. X or Twitter, Instagram as well. We're partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena, and we're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications, who can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. We're also on podcasts as well, so please go and listen to us. If you do listen to us on any of the podcasts, like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, wherever else that you get yours from, please go and rate us 5 stars on there as well. So just once again, before I do say goodbye, thank you ever so much, Brad, and thank you, Mark. Good luck for the rest of the season, obviously apart from Friday. Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Stuart.